Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Human Communion, where we all come together through wisdom and healing in body, mind, and spirit. I am Dr. Shawn Marie Higgins, an osteopathic physician, author, course creator, teacher, and psychic medium. On this podcast, I have guests lined up who will share their genius minds, techniques, and research for the purpose of enlightening us in awareness and help us unite with our own bodies, other humans, with nature, and even spiritual realms. And in doing this, we become more intuitive, more accepting, more empathic, and we become more intelligent. I believe this is because connecting in these ways is grounded in love. And to me, love equals intelligence. So let's all expand together in love. I'm going to launch this podcast with a discussion about a meditation I created years ago called the Cell Communion. The reason I chose to talk about this meditation as the first episode is because the cellular communion is the fertile soil from which the human communion grew. I'm going to talk about it on this episode, but I'm actually going to post the actual meditation so you can actually do it to heal. During this episode, we're going to talk about it, discuss it, talk about some of the teaching points in there. The cell communion connects the human to the cells that make up their own body. We actually meet the individual cells of the body and learn how to communicate with them in order to heal. During my own cell communion meditation one morning, I was given the intuitive guidance to create the same concept on a larger scale. And I called it the human communion, where we connect human to human in order to heal a species. I knew that it would be more than a meditation, and it is. It's now a movement, a cause, and it has a life of its own through humans coming together to learn and grow here on the Human Communion podcast. And in my experience, both of these meditations naturally lead to then connecting and communicating with nature, animals, and spirits, as well as other realms, dimensions, beings, and worlds. And I'm talking intergalactic and interdimensional, but we won't go there today. We'll save that for a future podcast. Today, let's keep it familiar and start with biology. Let's start with our very own cells. And then each one of us has the freedom to expand from that to the extent that they wish. So, you ready? Let's talk about the cell communion. I recommend you have a journal so you can jot down anything you receive during or right after the meditation. You should be seating or lying comfortably in a quiet place. And we first connect with our breath because this puts us in direct connection with our own biology. And we want to connect with ourselves. So try to really feel your physical body move with your breathing. Your lungs expand with every breath in and recede with every breath out. Your whole body moves with the ebb and flow of the rhythmic pulsation of your breath. This puts us in direct connection with the most vital physiologic function that we have, the one we cannot physically live without for more than 3 minutes, and that's the breath. As you begin to relax in your breathing, take a big breath in as white light instead of air. Imagine it being white light filling your lungs instead of air. Just like air would fill your lungs and then exchange through the capillary beds interfacing the alveoli of the lungs and the inhaled air, now this is white light doing that. It's fluid light becoming absorbed and exchanged through your capillary beds and conducted through your vascular system. Instead of the air, it's the light to nourish your entire body. Your whole body merges with the light at that point to become one pulsating unit of white light. So it's not just your lungs now filling with the white light, it's your whole body that is white light. We do this in order to acknowledge all of the various parts of the body, like the molecules, cells, organs, and glands, as one with no boundaries or separation between parts, just white light in the shape of you. We do this to cleanse any perceptions that we have of the body as separate parts so that we have a pure platform from which to re-emerge as only cells. Why the cell? Why not an organ or a molecule? This is a direct quote from my book. The cell is the smallest biological unit that represents the whole of which it is a part. You may find scientists and biologists who disagree with me, but this is my perspective from many years of working as a doctor and as a psychic medium. Oftentimes, the line between these two specialties for me is blurred. Oftentimes, I'm doing physical treatments on my patients and blend right into the psychic mediumship world and the energy healing, and it blends back and forth. And it's always, in my perspective, the cells of the body. That's the level of life at which I find the most efficient pathway to and from the spiritual realms. So once you have become pure white light, then you rebuild from that. See your physical body reemerging from within the white light, but this time as trillions of tiny, individual, affectionate, and loving beings. You can even look down at yourself, your hands, your belly, and see them all huddling together in the exact shape of you. Look at the beings and notice that they are all looking back at you. Each one is an individual, intelligent being that has united in cooperation with all the others in order to be your body. At this point, I have you look at your cells to acknowledge them as individuals. Look into their eyes as if they were other people. Notice they're looking back at you. When I do this meditation, I see them as little kitten puffballs just blinking at me with huge, adorable eyes. I can't believe these little geniuses agreed to be me. And now I have you talk to yourselves. Talk to them as individuals. Say in your mind or out loud to yourselves, hello, friends. Thank you for your guidance and wisdom, for your devotion to me, even in the absence of my conscious appreciation. I sit with you now for the very first time in full deliberate acknowledgement of your being. I now take this moment of stillness or time together to willingly receive any guidance and information from you delivered to me in any comfortable form for me that is for the highest value of our well-being together. You want to make sure and ask for messages to be delivered to you in a comfortable way so that you can receive them without fear and without discomfort in body sensation or mental discomfort in any way. So just sit here and rest for a few moments and receive the information. If you get a word, a feeling, an emotion, an image, jot it down with a pen and paper. Scribble whatever you feel like doing, but stay with yourselves. Do not break contact. Trust that if you miss something, your cells will bring it back to you. And that if you felt it during this meditation, it is retained in your cellular structure forever. Even if you've lost cognitive grasp of it, your cells have not. It is retained within their cell membranes, within their cell brains, which is their membranes. Now, this is bridging a little bit into my biological mediumship class that launches in November of this year, 2024, through the Shift Network. We will discuss the biological aspects of meditation, intuition, and mediumship in that class. So I bridge a little bit here. That's why I mention it. I hope you don't feel gypped in this meditation, but we will go into deep biological concepts in the biological mediumship class. And we will also do a lot of practicing of the mediumship in that way with those modalities and techniques. But this is being accessed through the cell communion. And so we will go over that in the course to a greater analytical degree. So back to this meditation, since these cells actually compose all of your physical body, they can pretty much reflect it back to you. They represent you in physical terms, although they're not you. They are not your mind or your soul. But sometimes our mind and our ego forgets the beauty of our own soul. But your cells never do. They never forget, because the quality of who you really are, of your soul, is why they chose you in the first place. They saw great love in you. Ask them to remind you of your own beauty. You can ask, dear cells, please reflect back to me the beauty and truth of me. See what they show you and take some moments here to jot things down and to feel. When you see your own beauty, it's moving. It's strikingly moving. It's abruptly moving sometimes. And you might find yourself feeling some strong emotions with that. Sit with that quietly until they pass, and then ask them, what is needed for my highest value in healing and well-being in this moment? In other words, how can I heal in this moment in a balanced way that's for my highest value? We don't always know what we need for our highest value. We may think we know, but we don't always know. That is why we can use our cells to see the clarity of what we truly need for the highest value of our being without ego thought, without judgment, without belief system bias, or anything like that. So allow some time to receive that information back from them. Keep in mind that what you receive back from your cells as information may not come as words. They may not even come as visions or audio perceptions at all. They may come as a blending of sensory fields. They may come as a knowing, a feeling of emotion, or it may come to you later that night in your dreams or later that day as you're going about your workday. Be open to receiving the peripheral resonance of their communication. So not only will that be spanning sensory fields in other ways that you didn't think were possible, but it will be spanning time, even though there's no such thing, but it will be spanning space time in ways that you didn't think were possible. For example, they could be answering you right now, but you did not meet up with that vibration in space time until the next day or the next week. So be open to receiving peripheral wisdom from your cells. Peripheral wisdom is something we talk about in biological mediumship. Then we get to the point where we ask your cells to act on that healing that you now know you need, or that they know you need, as physiological behavior within you now. That's what cells do. They behave in certain ways that carry your physiology on. If they're a liver cell, they behave like liver detox. They behave like metabolism. If they're a heart cell, then they either behave as cardiac muscle or endovascular lining cells or whatever it is. But whatever it is, we're asking them to act within us as physiology for our healing, for our highest value now, and take some moments to receive their healing actions. And you may feel them as physical body sensations, or again, emotions, or in other peripheral ways that we just discussed. Take some moments here. And then affirm, when you're ready, affirm that you shall receive this action to continually renew and resonate within you for the rest of your life. And if you agree, tell the cells that you are joining in loving communion with them for the rest of your life. And then reflect back to your cells the greatest feeling of gratitude that you can possibly muster. Gratitude is a great thing, because when you say thank you to your cells, the you're welcome that you get back is full of more information. Your welcome is full of different kinds of information depending on who said it and with what intention it was delivered. Again, we get into the peripheral realms, the peripheral ripples of the original point intention of what was said or delivered. We get into that in more detail in biological mediumship. So your individual, you're welcome from your cells in that moment is more informative wisdom for you. And you'll understand it as feeling because it's vibrational and form. It is not spoken word form like we do human to human. Instead, it's a vibrational language that you begin to learn how to understand through blending and using all of your sensory fields. And a lot of it's understanding through feeling and allowing that to be enough. We all want to know, why did I feel that emotion? Or I felt the sensation in my hand. What was that? I challenge you to feel these sensations and just let them resonate through you, their meaning. Their meaning is sanctified in what they do. That is the language of vibration. That is biological mediumship. Not only are you sitting down intentionally with your cells to do this meditation, and that's your mind acting with free will and intention to actually do something, but then you are actually forming neural networks, new neural network tracks that bridge you from mind into body, into cell, into spirit, into wisdom, into all these different realms of mediumship and spiritual wisdom. You are developing biological neural network tracks. They're actually working for you to then access intuition and mediumship. So this is a neurological, biological process. Once you've made that neural connection, it's then easier to make that same one, but it then bridges you to expand more. Your central nervous system becomes much more attuned to and closer to and training to communicating with beings other than humans. Once you've communicated with your cells, you have then participated in communicating in a vibrational language that transcends spoken word language that we have as humans. Once you've made that switch to vibrational language, you're now accessing anything that speaks vibration. They all have different dialects and different ways of communicating and different orders of vibrational waveforms that come through, just like any dialect or accent in any spoken language. However, once you make that switch from the human cognitive spoken language into the vibrational languages, branching from there is much easier and expands possibilities in your life in many ways, in all ways. And then once you start to believe what's possible, once you begin to see all the possibility that is there for you, doors start to open and your life really starts to change. And that does include healing as well as all experience in your life. So take as much time with this as you like. And when you're ready, bow a gracious goodbye for now to yourselves, knowing that they're always right there, but now simply returning their attention to the workings of your body. They're always there for you, But right now, they're going to go back to regular physiology and you're going to go back to your regular day. And now that you've made that connection neurologically, that neural tract is more easily formed when you want to revisit that. So feel your breath as that brings you back into the light body. Feel your breath as that brings you back into the physical body. And you can start to feel your arms and legs and your body sensations come back. And your cells begin to merge back into the wholeness of your body, the one with which you are familiar as you function through day-to-day life. And you're back. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Stay and journal, whatever it is you felt, saw, what came to you. But be prepared to have something come to you later that day, that evening in dreams, the next morning right upon waking, or throughout your week, or who knows when. Just be prepared for any kind of answer to come through in any way as any type of communication. So I have created many versions of the cell communion. I've created several with sound tones played as musical intervals in order to tap into the musical biology of the human body. And by the way, that's the name of my book, with hopeful publication in 2025. It's also similar to the name of a chapter that was published in an integrative medical textbook. It's called The Human Body, a Biological Sound Healing Instrument. I've done a version of this meditation in order to release fear and anxiety. I've done a version that focuses on our innate abilities to communicate with spirit and animals and nature. The version that I recommend for you to do first is the meet and greet that I just explained, and that's the one I'm going to post for you after this episode. I'd love to read your experiences, so please share, like, and subscribe. Stay tuned in with the Human Communion for more, such as the Real Cellular Communion real-time meditation that I just promised you, regular guest interviews sharing healing wisdom, techniques, and scientific research, various series highlights of my own teachings. The first will be highlights of my intuition class called Intensive Intuition. I'll share with you what my spirit guides taught me as I learned to harness my own natural intuitive capabilities and how to harness my innate mediumship abilities. There's also a talk that I do on how to talk to trees. It's the How to Communicate with Trees series, from which I gained wisdom from a tree in my backyard. I'll tell you the story and all of the lessons that I learned from that tree that not only expanded my ability to communicate with plants and animals immediately after that communication. I became very adept at communicating with chipmunks, birds, all kinds of animals. I'll share all of that wisdom with you in a series called How to Talk to Trees. And there's so much more even after that. So thank you for tuning into the Human Communion, where we all come together through wisdom and healing in body, mind, and spirit.